It doesn't happen often, especially in this day and age of instant information via Google. But there are times when you really kind of get your mind blown and you're just like, wow, that's pretty interesting. So for me, I'm pretty active in the comments. I like to see what you guys have to say about my videos, and I appreciate, your comments, your subscriptions. It's, definitely motivational for me. Every once in a while, and actually pretty often, to be honest, you guys give in the comments some insights where I'm like, wow, that's a really interesting take on something that you hear in the stacking community every day. Someone says something where it's like you look at something and it completely changes the paradigm of what was said. Two things recently in my comments on my recent videos really made me look at things in a different fashion. So I want to give credit where credit is due. The first comment that really, opened my mind to what it is, gold and silver and stacking and everything that we're doing with these implements really is about. And that was from Homer J. So Homer J was mentioning, we were discussing something about, how gold and silver are attainable in the current day to the common man, whereas previously throughout history, it may not be. You wouldn't see the normal people with gold and silver, particularly gold. In ancient times and previously, they would have copper as the coin of the realm, which makes sense, right? I mean, you look at the ancient coins, a lot of them are copper. So one of the things that he mentioned was, this idea of gold and silver being money, being the very symbol of value, the very definition of wealth and money, and again, this common mantra in the stocking community of being money versus currency, is something rather new, where the big increase in mining and the mass availability of these implements really makes it seem as though you're participating in the retention of money, the retention of wealth, the retention of money, quote unquote. I thought that was really interesting because, again, I touched on that briefly, like, understanding that back previously in when the stackers talk about, oh, it's God's money, it's been for thousands of years and blah, blah, blah. That's not true. It's just not true. But that being said, it's always had a place somewhere in there. And when you look back at the recent era that we live in, and it being, mass available to the general public, there is this marketing strategy philosophy to kind of convince you that gold and silver are the only remnant of true value. Interesting. I'm not saying that that's what Homer J was saying. I'm saying that that's something that made me think, based on what he said. Now that brings me to the second comment, which I would say really just blew my mind, because I was like, wait, he's right. And I don't even know if it's a he. I'm assuming it's a he. But the second comment was from Knife Collector. And Knife Collector was talking about gold and silver and just, versus fiat currency or things like that. And what he said was that when you really think about it, it could be argued by anyone that there's really no such thing as money. There are commodities, there are currencies, there are just things that we trade for other things of value. So everything is a currency, rather than, again, this concept of money, an actual value assigned. Think about it like that. Gold and silver are a commodity. They're just like land, they're just like other things. It has, a value that the market gives it, and we trade that, we buy that, we trade it. But it's a store of value like other commodities. It has a value assigned to it, but it is not value itself. But you will hear in the stacking community that it's money. Oh, this is the real money. This is God's money, blah, 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 blah. The fact that he's mentioned that it could be argued that, again, there's really no such thing as money itself, that everything is more a medium of currency. And I thought about that for a second, and I was like, wait. You just shifted my paradigm and like really just opened that third door where I'm like, what the hell? Like, wait, think about that. And I said, you know what? This is going to be stupid, but let me look up the definition of what it is to be money and what it is to be currency. And when you actually read the definition between money and currency, they're virtually the same thing. one does not say, money does not say that money is the real value, that money is the real indicator of value. It's not like a fiat currency. It's pretty much the same definition as what currency is. It's a medium of exchange. Now, the definition of money in the dictionary does say like coins, bills, notes, that kind of thing as an example. But it doesn't say anything to do with like an intrinsic value or a measure of value. It is basically explaining that money is a medium of exchange, which would be the same thing as a currency. And when I read that and I started thinking about that, I'm like, wow, that is insanely deep, because as a stacker, you're conditioned to really fall down the rabbit hole that there's a big difference between money and currency, and that they're not the same. And again, that all of the malice should be towards currency. But again, is that true? And is, are different implements really money versus currency, silver and gold in particular? The answer might really be no. And I think that comment was so insightful, because that is something, again, lost on the stacking community. You've been conditioned to believe that because this is a physical holding, a physical asset, just like so many others, that it symbolizes money or is the very definition of money. But that may not be true. And that was something that was so enlightening and so perspective changing. I was already in that category where I was leaning towards that direction, but to actually hear it repeated back to me in a different way really opened up my thoughts. Now, I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think of that? Now, again, the stacking community, of course, I expect that they're going to be like, no, this is real money because it says here and here and here that it's money. But is that true? Is that really true? The answer, yet to be determined.